This city is the only choice at the moment. Hello, lovely. This is Julia Badow, and I'm an abstract artist from Berlin living in Seoul, South Korea. I've been asked this question so many times. Why did you move to Seoul? Why did you move to the other side of the world? I'm originally from Berlin, Germany. Well, born just a bit outside of Berlin, but lived for a very long time in Berlin, and I love this city so much. It has my heart. It's amazing. It's not pretty, and still it's just so raw. And there's so many opportunities you have in Berlin, and there's so many things to see and people to meet. For the longest time, Berlin was my city. And then there came a point when everything became known. Like, I would go to all the same places. I wouldn't explore new things. It wouldn't feel adventurous anymore. And at that point, I also felt like I wanted to move to the ocean, but I also wanted to live in a very big city, preferably a capital. And I was really struggling to find something that would combine that within Europe, because at this point, I only ever considered living in Europe as a German artist. Being a bit frustrated with my life in Berlin, I thought of new cities. I lived in Stockholm, Sweden for 3 months. I went to Lisbon in Portugal and lived there, I think, for a couple of weeks, a bit over a month. I knew Vienna, I knew London. I've been to Paris, and while London was probably the closest I would ever get to feeling at home, none of these really spoke to me in the true sense, this is where I belong, this is mine, this is right. When I was back in Berlin for a while, I've met somebody who had studied in Edinburgh but was originally from Korea. He told me that Seoul actually is a lot like Berlin, just 4 times the amount of people, like so many more people. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, bit scary. Why didn't I ever consider going outside of Europe? So this was not just booking a flight ticket and having a suitcase. This was so much more involved and included so much more work, but at the same time it felt exciting. I was missing this spark of excitement. The idea of going to Seoul gave me that back. And honestly, I didn't plan on staying too much. I just wanted to check it out. I went on the plane, longest flight I ever took, and it was probably love at first sight. There are really no words to describe how it felt the first couple of weeks in Seoul. I lived in a couple of Airbnbs, and I fully expected myself to be frustrated with the language or homesick or any of these like fears that would come up when you travel to the other side of the world for an unlimited amount of time, with no real goal, with no friends there, with nothing, honestly. It felt freeing. It felt like I had this blank slate, this fresh canvas I could imprint my life upon, all my goals and my dreams. I could start anew. That's what it felt like. For the first couple of weeks, I would just enjoy life and what Seoul had to offer. The more I tried and the more I saw, the more I wanted to stay. It's honestly, in my opinion, not fair to compare Seoul to any other city, especially as a female solo traveler. It felt extremely safe. When in Berlin, I would get on a bus and there were always like a couple of guys looking weird, like a group of guys, and you'd know you'd probably be in trouble if you don't find a way to exit quickly. There's always this feeling in the back of your mind being, oh, I have to be on guard. Hoodie, not dressed too feminine, have your earplugs in, maybe sunglasses, like anything to shut the outside world out and not to appear vulnerable, all these things. Like, if you're a woman, you probably know what I'm talking about. And in Berlin, there was just not even a consideration. It was just constant background checker. I was always aware. And I wasn't aware until I came to Seoul how much it drained me, how much of my energy I put into being defensive. And so I come to Seoul and I don't get catcalled. I don't get weird looks from men. All I get is like nice old ladies telling me how pretty I am. One lady in my first week on the bus gave me a bonbon from her bag, like, so cute. And everybody is extremely nice and forthcoming, and the little bit of Korean I managed to learn before I came here helped me so much, because honestly everybody just started to talk to me in English anyway, but they were so happy that I was able to say thank you in Korean or ask for thing on the shelf if it's available in the store in Korean. It was really simple sentences, not that difficult, but the effort I put in, people appreciated it. And they appreciate it to this day. Like even though I've lived here a while now, I'm nowhere near as fluent as I am in English, ages away. And yet the kindness I've experienced from random strangers in Seoul is mind-blowing. And just for example, when I was in Paris, no one was kind. Everyone was really mean. In London, people were kind in a, oh, let me help you carry your suitcase up the stairs, which I didn't expect at all. But I expected to be robbed, honestly. But in Seoul, it's just constantly people trying to help me. Seoul for me is just, I can relax. I could finally drop my defenses. I could explore. As funny as it sounds, I could explore my femininity a bit more. I could drop the tough girl act and be sweet, kind, cute even, relaxed, just walking around my neighborhood. And mind you, there are horrible things happening in Seoul. There's stuff in the media, there are horrible crimes, and there are all over the world. Just in my normal day life, I am able to live more freely than in any European city I've tried until this point. The closest would probably be Stockholm, by the way, that I would compare Seoul with in terms of safeness. Although openness and kindness, like in Sweden, everybody was a lot more reserved. Everybody who's moved abroad has probably the same issue with finding friends. I would just go out in public, sit in a cafe. People would come up to me. I would go to a gallery exhibition and people would come up and talk to me. I'm not an entirely shy person. Like if I see somebody I want to talk to, I go up to them, I compliment them, I talk to them, right? But the friends I've made here all came up to me. It's almost like I attracted them in some way. And I'm so happy and grateful for that, for all of my friends, for the experiences I've had here so far, for the food I've tasted, for the laughs I shared. This city is so beautiful compared to Berlin, which still is an amazing city. It's just not pretty. Everything here is super clean, coming from a European, and the cafes are out of this world. Instagrammable seems to be like the main concern when somebody starts a new cafe. Like the aesthetics are on point. The food, it only looks nice, usually. It doesn't taste good, but here in Seoul, everything tastes even better than it looks, and it looks amazing. Like, why would I ever go back? Nothing is pulling me away from Seoul. I have been back to my family, yes. And it was always a reverse culture shock. I forgot about my defensive, tough girl persona until I stepped back into Berlin and was on the subway and immediately felt barrier up, be careful, watch your surroundings, this sort of thing. The moment I get back to Seoul, I'm like, oh, okay, we can breathe again. Every day, I'm incredibly grateful to live here. I think it has had a huge impact on my art. It definitely had on my personality. And also, as a night owl, I adore how much is available at night. When I can't sleep, sometimes I go out for a walk at 2 a.m. Sometimes I go to the convenience store at 4 a.m. And I love that. The art supply stores here, I have no words. Like, we have an amazing art supply store chain in Berlin called Bösner. If you haven't been yet, And then again, the amount of brands and colors and things in the art supply stores I found in Seoul, like Bösner is just now getting to that point. I know everybody from America uses golden acrylics. When I started out painting, everybody was recommending use golden acrylics. I couldn't get that in the German art supply stores. I had to order it online without knowing really what the colors would look like. Here the shelves are just filled. Even in the smallest art supply store, there's golden everywhere. For me as an artist, for me as a woman, as somebody always ready for adventure, this city is the only choice at the moment and has been the right choice from the first step I took in Seoul. No plans to leave, just pure happiness and enjoying every single day. Caveat, the air quality, that is something in Germany that's, you don't worry about it, it's just good. In Seoul, We have sometimes weeks on end where there's like yellow dust or like particles in the air. You can't see very far on those days. Your eyes might itch. My throat usually hurts. There's people who are more sensitive to this. And I am not very happy about the fact that I cannot just open my windows every single day, or that I cannot go outside and walk because the air is polluted. That's like, for me, the biggest quality problem. And then again, compared to everything I'm experiencing, this is just such a small price to pay. Yeah, I love it here. And I'm gonna stay as long as I can, or until another adventure calls. Have you ever visited Seoul? Have you experienced another city that feels to you like Seoul feels to me? Do you have plans to come to Seoul? If you have this calling in your heart to explore something new, and even if it's just going to the next town, please follow it. The amount of things that happened to me positively impacted my life because I followed my heart. It's scary though. It's super scary, and it's so rewarding. If you'd like to see more of my life in Seoul and also my current studio practices, then make sure to follow me on Instagram and subscribe for more.